50 years ago today, Malcolm X, while giving a speech in Manhattan at the Audubon Ballroom, was shot. Yes, assassinated. But today we're not going to focus on his death. We're going to learn from his life, understand his mission, and especially his final mission.
Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to? So much so that you don't want to be around each other.
My personal political philosophy, Black Nationalism, which means that the black man should control the politics of his own community and control the politicians who are in his own community. My personal economic philosophy is also Black Nationalism, which means that the black man should have a hand in controlling the economy of the so-called Negro community. He should be developing the type of knowledge that will enable him to own and operate the businesses and thereby be able to create employment for his own people, for his own kind.
Do you consider yourself militant?
I consider myself Malcolm.
Brother Malcolm was a revolutionary leader. At a very young age, he was exposed firsthand to the realities of racism and oppression in America. His father, Earl Little, was a follower of Pan-Africanist Marcus Garvey, who spoke of black pride and the uplift of black people in the world. His father's strong beliefs and teachings of Marcus Garvey kept Malcolm's family moving, relocating, to avoid intimidation and death threats. At the age of 6, Malcolm's father was killed by white supremacists in a murder that was declared a car accident. Afterwards, his mother had a mental breakdown, was declared legally insane, and Malcolm and his siblings were put into foster care. At the age of 15, Malcolm went to live with his half-sister in Boston. His early 20s were filled with crime, drugs, and racketeering. And in 1946, Malcolm was sent to prison for burglary, facing 10 years. It was in prison that he made his transformation. He began to read books dealing with history, politics, and religion, and later joined the Nation of Islam under Elijah Muhammad. Once released, Malcolm quickly rose through the ranks of the Nation of Islam. He was a brilliant speaker, very knowledgeable. His ability to mobilize the masses, along with being unapologetic and uncompromising, made Malcolm X a powerhouse. Malcolm fully understood the history of racism and understood how it affected every area of our lives.
The police the same way. They put their club upside your head and then turn around and accuse you of attacking them. Every case of police brutality against a Negro follows the same pattern. They attack you, bust you all upside your mouth, and then take you to court and charge you with assault. What kind of democracy is that? What kind of freedom is that? What kind of social or political system is it when a black man has no voice in court, has nothing on his side other than what the white man chooses to give him? My brothers and sisters, we have to put a stop to this. And it will never be stopped until we stop it ourselves. They attack the victim. And then the criminal who attacked the victim accuses the victim of attacking him. Yes, sir. This is American justice. Yes, sir. That's right. This is American democracy. Yes, and those of you who are familiar with it know that in America, democracy is hypocrisy.
Malcolm's next chapter was his journey to Africa and the Middle East, later in 1964, that created an evolution. After being invited to the OAU, the Organization of African Unity, in Ethiopia by Haile Selassie, he saw how the head of these African countries that had just fought off colonialism came together, regardless of their religion, regardless of their particular ideology, regardless of any other difference, and formed a united front.
Why, the whole dark world today is in unity. It's one. If you don't think so, look at the United Nations. When the dark world votes, they vote as one. They get the colonialists out of Africa and out of Asia, telling them to get out. They don't have any nuclear weapons, but they got a solid, united voice, and their unity alone is sufficient to drive the oppressor and exploiter of their people out of their own country. You and I need to learn a lesson from that right there. In the UN, the dark world consists of Buddhists, Hindus, Shintoists, Taoists, Christians, Muslims, everything. But they're together. They forget their religious and political differences. They think as one. They move as one against a common enemy.
This united front helped other countries in Africa to pull the claws of European colonialism off of their country. Among these great African leaders were people like Kwame Nkrumah, the first president of Ghana, Julius Nyerere of Tanzania, Ahmad bin Bella of Algeria, strong men that were not willing to compromise their country or their people any longer for the use of imperialists. And some of these people Malcolm formed alliances with. Malcolm understood that it was nationalism that helped with the freedom of these African countries. He felt that nationalism was the key to liberating blacks in the Western Hemisphere. He came back to America and with the assistance of other leaders started the organization of Afro-American Unity. He was on a mission to connect African Americans with their African heritage, establish economic independence, and promote self-determination.
One of the only reasons that we in the West have never organized, we have hated our image and our African image. And because Africa has been in the hands of people who have created an image of Africa that's negative and hateful. And it has been hateful to us. We haven't wanted to identify with it. But now that Africa is getting independent and in a position to create its own image, and it's a positive image, those of us in the West look at the African image and see how positive it is. We begin to identify with it. We become proud of Africa, and we become proud of our African blood, our African heritage. And this is what is beginning to make the Africans in the Western Hemisphere today develop more race pride. And as this race pride develops, then it has a tendency to make us want to unite together and work together. And your Western imperialists and colonialists consider this to be a grave threat.
He knew that blacks in America represented a minority, but when compared on the world stage, black and brown people that have been exploited by colonialism represented an enormous majority. And with that, he was determined to unite us all on the Western Hemisphere back with Africa.
Malcolm, what is your purpose here?
Well, my purpose here is to remind the African heads of state that there are 22 million of us in America who are also of African descent, and to remind them also that we are the victims of America's colonialism or American imperialism, and that our problem is not an American problem, it's a human problem. It's not a Negro problem, it's a problem of humanity. It's not a problem of civil rights, but a problem of human rights.
And what do you hope for from this conference?
Well, we hope to bring pressure upon them, or rather we hope to impress upon them the importance of their bringing pressure and world opinion upon the United States to take some meaningful effort to solve our problem in America. We want them to help us get our problem before the United Nations and charge America with violating our human rights.
Malcolm wanted to show that what we call a civil rights issue within America was actually a human rights issue on African people who lived in America. And he made plans to take the plight of African Americans before the United Nations, seeking sanctions against the U.S. for crimes against humanity. And as much as he talked about it, traveling many places, teaching people about the Africans in America, teaching them the importance of becoming one globalized fight against white supremacy, colonialism, imperialism, capitalism, for the betterment of his people. But unfortunately, before the organization of Afro-American Unity could fully mobilize, Malcolm X was assassinated.
What do you think of Malcolm X's death?
I know it was no accident. I know Mr. Muhammad, because from what I hear Malcolm X said the other night.
Who do you believe is responsible for Malcolm X's death?
The white power structure in America is behind it. They're quick to capitalize on by saying that one of his own kind did it, but they put it up to be done.
What do you mean, the white power structure?
The white power structure of America. They know they had more to gain by getting Malcolm X out the way than they had to buy and let him live. That's why.
What do you feel about it?
What do you feel about me?
What do you feel about
It's a blow to every black
people in the United States of America. Black.
It's what?
It's a blow, he said.
It's a blow.
Blow, he said.
Yes.
He says a blow to every black American, black people in the United States. That's what he was saying.
Why is it a blow to you?
Because he's a part of me. Because he looks like me. And his skin is me. He's a black man and I'm a black man. And he takes up a black emancipation.
That's right.
What did Malcolm X mean to you?
He meant a great deal to me and my people. I'm sorry that a good man is gone. But the first I hear of it, I couldn't have cried anymore, I don't believe, if I had lost my mother.
What did he mean to you? Can you tell me a bit more about it?
He meant deliverance for my people. And I hope we all walk in the same footsteps as Malcolm X was walking in.
Some people seem to feel that he meant deliverance by violence. Did you agree with that?
No, I disagree. I think he meant, as the things he said, if one wants to fight with bullets, then retaliate with the same. If you don't know anything but a gun, at that time, I feel we should know the same. But I don't hate everybody. In fact, I have no hate in my heart.
Malcolm was fully aware that for Africans on the Western Hemisphere to truly be liberated, they must join together on a united front. And he didn't just speak about this. When he returned from Africa, he met with a leader that had an ideology in stark contrast of his. Yes, Martin Luther King. He knew that this government thrived on division and that it was utilized to continue imperialism and colonialism. Malcolm understood that if you can't move past your own ideology and religion and differences for the sake of your people, then you are absolutely no good to your people. There is so much that we can learn from Brother Malcolm, but we'll start right there. Ashe? To the first subscriber that comments on my YouTube page on how Malcolm has influenced your life, I will personally mail you the autobiography of Malcolm X, signed by the great Griot.